All right, I have the Savage Richie Lewis on the show now, who's going to be facing Jason Russell next on February the 18th at Titan FC 74. Richie, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you. And this is a new opponent. You were supposed to face someone else here recently, but apparently that's not coming to fruition. So Jason's stepping in on short notice. When did you find out about the new replacement?
So a little funny story. My team kind of kept me in the dark a little bit. I guess he backed out 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they kind of were like, "Oh, Richie's having a good camp. He's training," because the kid that I was supposed to fight for IKF amateur world title, he was like 13-1 kickboxing, 5-1 amateur MMA. So not that it was going to be a super hard fight, but this was a guy I definitely wasn't looking past. He threw heavy, so I was like, you know what? I took this as a very serious training camp, and I was preparing to fight whatever I needed to do, and they saw that, so they were like, we're preparing for a guy that's a decent kickboxer, so let's have him keep preparing and keep developing in the areas. And they just told me like 5-6 days ago.
Wow. Okay. Well, here we go. A new opponent, Jason Russell, steps in. My father, he was really big into combat sports. He a wrestler, not quite as accomplished as yourself, but I got to imagine with someone like with the wrestling credentials that you already have, this is probably going to be a problem that you might run into more and more moving forward, because wrestling, for my money, is hands down the most important discipline in all of combat sports. Do you feel like you're just a nightmare matchup for a lot of these guys, and they're going to realize that the more and more you evolve in your career?
I do, man, but I also see it like two sides of a coin. You can look at it like, oh, this guy has this, and this is what other people, the community, perceive him as, and these are his skills, and I don't want to go up against that. Or you can perceive it on the other end and say, this is an opportunity for me to garner his accomplishments, essentially. And I think it's riskier for me the earlier it is in my career. Obviously, like my first 2 fights, I feel like I'm beginning to de-risk myself. If we look at myself as an asset, right, I'm beginning to become a less volatile asset and more consistent. And the earlier that you get me in my career, the better the opportunity or the risk to value ratio is for my opponents. So I could see from both sides of the coin. It's kind of up to the person who's going to fight me.
Okay. I love that answer. Now you're at a new gym, one of the best gyms in the world, Sanford MMA. Tell me what that transition has been like from Goat Shed Academy.
Man, it's been a really smooth transition. The training is a lot different. At Goat Shed, it was more a little flashy. It wasn't so much my jive. I definitely learned a lot there. They're very good at developing guys from the beginning of their careers. And I think that I got to a point where I outgrew the gym a little bit. So it was time for me to move on, man. But I'm very grateful to Goat Shed Academy. They gave me an amazing platform, and they started my career off the exact way that I needed to. But like I said, it was time for me to move on, and I moved on, and now I got Henry Hooft, Greg Jones, Cami Barzini, Sean Soriano. I've always had Dino Navarro. A couple of me and my teammates made the move, and our coach to Sanford. So I'm getting these guys to kind of show me the new ropes. There's different pacing at these next levels. So, before I was fighting mostly regional level guys, and now I'm fighting UFC, PFL, and Bellator superstars, Logan Storley, like I said, Ian Gary, Sean Soriano, Jared Gordon. I'm just name after name after name. I could keep naming them off. I'm getting rounds with these guys every day. And in the past 3 months, my progression has been nonstop. I also think that the style of training that we do at Sanford is a lot like you would think of like a Tiger Muay Thai, where it's just you go in, you at 10 o'clock every day, and you're training really hard, and you kind of get your sessions at nighttime or your sessions one-on-one with the coaches. And for this stage in my career, I think the most important thing is to be sparring these high-level guys and to be training hard against them and getting into as many positions as possible, rather than focusing so much on technique, because for 14 months, that was my main focus. So it was literally the perfect transition and the perfect timing for me to be at Sanford MMA.
Have you got much work in with Michael Chandler yet?
He's been back home, so we haven't worked together really at all yet.
Okay. You mentioned some names, obviously Soriano, Gordon. There's really just a who's who of fighters that everyone that follows the sport knows exactly who they are. But is there one or two guys that maybe primarily you're getting the majority of your working with, or does it just kind of vary day to day?
It kind of varies day to day. I have my training partners that came with, we all came together, which is Landry Ward and Angel. We do a lot of our technique together. And then for the live training, I try and get my hands with Jared Gordon and Sean Soriano as much as possible because they have a similar philosophy to the fight game as me. So our training kind of just meshes well together.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, have you got a chance to talk to Jared much about his backstory? I mean, man, that guy has been through the ringer and back, and I feel like he's such a positive influence, and just he has such a good message to people out there. Have you got a chance to talk to him much outside of just getting in there and throwing hands with one another?
Seldomly, slowly but surely. I think we have a pretty good unspoken bond. And where I'm from in New Jersey, Toms River, and Central Jersey specifically, there's a lot of drug use, like specifically opiates, that I've seen since I was 16 years old. My friends and kids that I grew up with, getting heavily involved with drugs. So I kind of have like a very high respect for Jared before even meeting him, before even coming to Sanford. He's been one of my favorite, not only one of my favorite fighters, but one of my favorite figures. So now being around him is real cool, and I look up to him because I've seen it firsthand.
All right. Yeah, very well said. I appreciate you diving into that a little bit. Now you're 2-0 now as a pro. You got a UD win and a round 2 win via punches. How happy are you with where you're at right now? And going 3-0, if that's what you end up doing, it seems like after that win, a few more wins, you might be in Contender Series, UFC. Like, where's your head at as far as your next steps?
I think that first year, the first 14 months was more development and getting that cage experience. I thought I was going to go out there and smoke these dudes, but it's a way different sport than wrestling. And I learned that. I learned that what happens in practice is different than what's in the cage. I learned how to control my heart rate, how to be calm. I had to sharpen up my eyes. I wasn't the best striker my first fight. I barely knew shit, to be 100% honest. And then my second fight, I felt comfortable, but then I realized, there was another level to it. So that's why I took another 6-month gap to get really prepared, because I know I'm at risk for kind of getting rushed through, and only having, 5, 6 fights before the UFC. So I wanted to take my time to develop, and I think I'm there. So I think now this next year is going to be focused on experience and just cage time. I'm gonna try and get 4 to 5 to 6 fights if I can this year, and just get that cage experience and focus on my development in the gym, and then just try and put myself in as much adversity as possible, and get used to the fans, get used to the crowd, get used to the warm up backstage and what I'm thinking before I go out there. I'm an entertainer, so how I'm gonna walk out. People don't really think about that, but a lot of that stuff is what's important in the fight. It's what gets you fans. It's what keeps your heart rate down. Well, the thoughts that are going through your mind. If I want to warm up 30 minutes before my fight, 5 minutes before my fight, how hard I want to spike my heart rate will change how tired I get. Like my first fight, the guy was a little calm. My second fight, the guy he was a great fighter. He wanted to fucking brawl, so I kind of had to be ready and spike my heart rate right out the gate. So that was a little different, and just kind of get the different feels of what these different style fighters are going to do. So when it does come time for the big show and the big paychecks to come, in my mind, I'm going to be calm and ready for what's next, and be a couple steps ahead.
Tell me a little bit about yourself outside of combat sports here. I just checked your Instagram out, and it looks like, you might be a little bit of a comedian, or at least you've got a good sense of humor. I saw you did, like, I think it was a TikTok video. It's Gator needs his gat, right? So tell me a little bit about,
Bitch.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So is that something that you're hoping to further? Like, do you have any aspirations of, maybe doing any acting or anything like that? Or is that just something you're just having fun with?
Yeah, so I definitely want to be an actor, but I don't think I'm going to be an actor like on the TV. I want to be more of like a lifestyle actor with like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, just really for fun and for myself. And I have a girlfriend and kids, so we kind of like to do it together. It's one of our playful things. And me being playful, people talk about being humble. I grew up in wrestling. It's like humble, humble, humble. So me being that comedic side kind of keeps that dark gangster side out of me, that I don't have to be like, which is like part of my real personality. So that comedic side kind of keeps it light and fresh, not just for people watching me, but also for myself. It keeps like a happy energy inside of me rather than a kill energy inside me, because that kill energy inside me is very real, and I've never really learned how to conquer it until I probably moved down to Florida this year or last year.
I love that, bro. Comedy is the spice of life. So keep that in your day-to-day life. It'll definitely make everything around you better. I love movies and acting and comedy and all of that. So I got a kick out of that. I thought it was very good. Now
And I think it also does something for your ego, man, because if you can expose yourself to the world as a man, right, we're all strong men that are fighters, right? So if you can expose yourself to the world and be comfortable in that way, it's almost like how George St. Pierre rubbed his nipples before he fought. He's like, if they can see me rub my nipples on live television for all these people, he's like, then they can see me get knocked out, and that made him comfortable to be one of the best ever and not really lose. Because if you're comfortable and willing to do that, then what can embarrass you, or what can go wrong? And that kind of gives your mind an ease, and you actually fight better.
Yeah, I love it. You must be referencing maybe the GSP hoodie that you're seeing right up there behind me.
Oh, wow. No, are you Canadian?
No. I'm from New England. I'm from Maine. But GSP is my all-time favorite mixed martial artist. I just inside and outside of the cage, man. I love the guy. So yeah, I'm glad you made that reference.
Me too.
All right. So let's talk about this specific fight. We're getting real close. February 18th. They'll be here before you know it. What's the weight at right now? How close are you to making weight?
So I was planning on making 156, and that was the plan, and it kind of still is. But I don't even know what the weight class is yet, to be honest. I'm gonna fight this dude from 156 to 170. I'm in shooting range to make 56. I'm walking around 172, 173, which is what I normally walk around at. I may be a couple pounds lower now before, but I'm still in that water cut range. I want to stay a little bit bigger so my body doesn't fluctuate. So hopefully the fight ends up being at 160, 165, so I can have a better turnaround on my body, so I can fight in March 5 weeks later.
And do you have a prediction for this fight? I got to imagine after doing a little bit of research, it seems like you'd be a heavy favorite, especially since your previous opponent pulled out and this guy, Jason Russell, stepping in on short notice. Are you going to be disappointed if you don't get a finish?
I think I'm gonna get a finish. Yeah, I don't think about it, I'll be disappointed, but yeah, and I know I'm gonna get a finish. I'm gonna try and knock him out of the feet. If I can't do that, I'm gonna just take him down and TKO him.
All right. And you just said you want to get back in there ASAP. Can we plan on seeing you fighting in the next Titan FC event, or is there another
Yeah.
promotion maybe that you have your eyes on?
No, I'm gonna fight in Titan. I'm gonna do this fight, and then I'm gonna finish my contract out in March, and then I'll re-sign with Titan. Hopefully, fight for the belt. My buddy Landon's fighting for the title on the same card as me, so he'll win. Hopefully, go to the UFC. I'll fight for the vacant belt, and then maybe defend it once, and then you'll see me in the UFC.
Awesome, man. Well, Richie, I appreciate the time. Again, Richie Lewis meets Jason Russell at Titan FC 74 on February the 18th. Great interviewing you for the first time. Before I let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, the floor is yours.
Richie_Savage. That's where you can find me anywhere. Aper Fitness, that's my clothing brand. We do wholesaling and we also do retail. So check it out. We work with some of the top level athletes that I'm connected with. And our Gateway, we're releasing an NFT play to earn game with my business manager right here, my coach, best friend, Jerry. A lot of the stuff that you see me doing, a lot of his mastermind. So I want to thank him, and that's it.